the Fever and the Sky, and Caitlin Clark went off with 31 points, a career high, also had 12 assists. It's now the first time the Fever are 500. It's the first game of the season that they scored 100 points or more in the year. Special night for Caitlin Clark and the Fever as they win 100-81, their largest margin of victory of the year. Angel Reese, 23rd double-double of the season, a rookie record, 10 points, 11 boards, but Kelsey Mitchell was spectacular for the Fever, 23 points. Melissa Smith down low also 14 and 7, great defense from Lexi Hull. Of course, Chicago without their star guard, Kennedy Carter. Time now to bring in CBS Sports WNBA analyst Tarika Foster-Brasby to discuss the Fever just handling the Sky on Friday. So Caitlin, as we talked about, went off for a career-high 31. Angel sets another record. But the Fever win this season series 3-1. What stood out to you the most from this game?
I really love the way that Indiana has figured out how to pick it up defensively. I think one of the biggest criticisms that you could have had about this team when they met in June, and all three of those previous matchups were in June, is that they really didn't do the best of jobs defensively. They were still allowing Angel to get off on the paint. And in that third matchup, Angel had 25 points and 16 boards. Kennedy Carter had 23 points. She was attacking the basket. It was very difficult for them to get some paint presence from the defensive end. Tonight, they very much have a paint presence on the defensive end. This Fever team is really playing a style of basketball that is dangerous as we look towards going into the postseason. They were crashing the boards. They were shooting the ball incredibly well. They were really making it difficult. I know that Angel Reese has a double-double, but it was like last minute that she was able to notch that double-double because they were giving her and Camila Cardoso some trouble down there inside in the paint. And so I love what I'm seeing from this Indiana team as it relates to picking it up defensively.
So they're picking up defensively, and that's something that Christy Sides has stressed before in the past, and right now they're clicking on that end as well as on the offensive end. But when it comes to Rookie of the Year, I know it's gotten blown out of proportion so many times, Tarika, but who would you pick right now?
Yeah, right now I've got to give the edge to Caitlin Clark. I mean, not only is she playing incredibly well, but she's one of the catalysts for her team playing incredibly well. I look at someone like Kelsey Mitchell, who has been phenomenal since this season has returned from the Olympic break. And one of the reasons that she's able to get open and play so well is because she has a true point guard in Caitlin Clark, who's done a great job of getting her the ball, of drawing the attention, of creating some space, allowing Kelsey Mitchell to really do what she does well. And they figured out how to play with each other. Caitlin Clark has honestly shown up and shown out since this Olympic break. She has also taken the time to really understand her teammates, their mannerisms, their characteristics, and it has allowed them to play more in rhythm. At this moment, I am giving the edge to Caitlin Clark in the Rookie of the Year race, and games like tonight help to make that case.
100%, yeah, I'm with you. I think Caitlin Clark deserved the Rookie of the Year based on the way she's played, especially in the second half of the season, but also the tail end of that first half. Angel, special season as well. But when it comes to the Fever and their postseason outlook, Tarika, they're right now in 6th place. They hold the tiebreaker over the Mercury. How far do you think they can go in the postseason? Of course, depending on who they get with that 3rd seed.
Well, yeah, it definitely does depend on what happens and who ends up where. You know, I was on the call for that Indiana-Connecticut game earlier in the week, and it was a potential playoff preview. At the time, Connecticut held the 2 seed. At the time, Indiana held the 7 seed. And so just getting a look at that was very scary. I think that this Fever team is hot at the right time. I think they're clicking at the right time. I think their chemistry is playing well into their favor. And the good thing about it is that they have a couple more matchups that can really test them. They've gotten some very convincing wins over some plus 500 teams, and that's going to be great for your confidence as you are moving towards the playoff picture. As it relates to Chicago, however, I don't know. It's difficult to say whether or not they will remain in the playoff picture, but I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to say yes, Chris, only because I strongly believe that they have some matchups coming up here in this last final couple of weeks that can really tell the story, one of which is against Atlanta. And Atlanta is the team that is currently trying to fight for that number 8 spot. But I also want to say Washington is not mathematically eliminated. And they're a team that you might want to keep your eye out on as we look towards down the stretch of who could be vying for that number 8 spot. So I'm 50-50 on Chicago. They're in there now, Chris, but I don't know for how long if they can't find a way to get some offense on the board.
Well, I definitely know this. They want Kennedy Carter back sooner than later because she provides so much for them when it comes to scoring and spacing. Tarika Foster-Brasby, always a pleasure talking to you. Between the astonishing rookies, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, in about 30 minutes, these two have captivated fans all season long. And here's the thing. It's the fourth meeting between Reese's Sky and Caitlin's Fever. Indiana took the first 2 of 3, but in the last matchup, Angel Reese went off for 25 points and 16 boards in an 88-87 playoff-type win. Caitlin dropped 17 points and 13 assists in that game. Now, Chicago will have a shot to split the series, or Indiana wins it 3-1. And look, just the other day, Caitlin set another record. Most recently, she set the WNBA rookie record for most made three-pointers in a season when 88, surpassing Atlanta Dream's Ryan Howard mark of 85 with 3 long balls versus Connecticut. And Angel Reese, she's made some history of her own as well. Her 22 double-doubles this season tied for the rookie record set by the great Tina Charles in 2010. Reese already shattered Charles' WNBA record of consecutive 10-plus rebound games. And Angel Reese leads all players this season with 12.9 rebounds per game. That's pacing to be a rookie record. Caitlin Clark now owns the single-season rookie records for three-pointers and dimes. Clark could also chase down Simone Augustus' rookie scoring record. She would need to average 21 points per game over these last 9 outings. Time now to bring in CBS Sports WNBA analyst Tarika Foster-Brasby. And Tarika, we know these ladies have been showing out left and right, doing things that we didn't expect right out the gate. But when you look at their seasons in totality, as it stands right now, whose season has been more impressive to you?
Chris, is this how we're starting the segment, really? You know, this may not be the obvious answer, but quite honestly, I think they both have been equally impressive. And here's why. You know, I think when you think about what they've been tasked to do, when you think about the fact that neither one of these women have really been able to, what's the word I'm looking for? Overachieve in the way that so many people expected them to be. They said that it was going to be a struggle for these two to begin their seasons, and it was genuinely a struggle for both of them in their own individual ways. But now, the way that they have both impacted their team, each of these young women have now exceeded that expectation. Each of these young women have broken records and set records. Both of them have played such a critical part in why their teams are currently sitting in the position that they're in, which is quite nearly both in playoff spots. I think at this point in the season, I'd be safe with saying, as it relates to the Rookie of the Year conversation, I feel that edge is currently sitting with Caitlin Clark, just given, again, that she just recently closed in on that 3-point rookie record. She's chasing Alyssa Thomas for that single season assist record, something that Alyssa literally just set a year ago. And when you look at the overall totality of how this Indiana Fever team is playing right now, you know that she's been part of that impact. But as it relates to just the rookie campaign between both of these young women, I am in a position where I honestly can't say that one is more impressive than the other, because they both have really been dynamic.
And that has been great for the game, as we've seen. Everybody wants to see how they're going to do day in and day out. Now, when you look at the Fever schedule, right, they started out 1-8, which was hard to see them actually jumping into a playoff spot. But if they win against Chicago, they will jump into 6th spot over the Mercury because they hold that tiebreaker. And they're playing so confidently, Tarika, since the Olympic break. Do you believe that they're going to surpass Phoenix when the regular season ends?
You know, I was on the call for Indiana's last matchup against Connecticut on Wednesday night, and I kept thinking to myself, this is not the team that you want to see in the first round of the playoffs. Like, if you talk to a lot of WNBA players, they say to you, it really depends on how you play at the right moment, peaking at the right time, getting hot at the right time. Well, this Indiana Fever team is hot at the right time, and not just because of Caitlin Clark. Kelsey Mitchell has been outstanding since the Olympic break. I mean, this player, Kelsey, has been leading the league in that time frame in scoring. She's averaging 18.2 points per game. She's a dangerous shooter in transition. I cannot believe how quickly she releases the ball. Honestly, by the time you've stepped up to defend her, the way that she comes off the ball in transition, the ball is already halfway down the net. So there's just no stopping that. When you combine that with Aaliyah Boston's ability to be a passing big, the way Lexi Hall has come up and stepped up big, defending on the perimeter, which has been a place where this Indiana Fever team has struggled, providing big shots in critical minutes, I really feel like they have ample opportunity to surpass Phoenix, because my biggest criticism of Phoenix is that they aren't consistent. Well, this Indiana team has been consistent since the Olympic break, and they've got all of the momentum at this moment.
Right, I definitely do, and I got to tell you, Lexi Hall, she should be in that starting lineup going forward. She has earned it. From going from DNPs earlier in the year now to setting records, career highs, it's been great to see her really shine. Now, the Sky, they're desperately holding on to that A seed after 4 straight losses. I know Kennedy Carter has been out some couple games, right, due to COVID and illnesses, but in your eyes, what's been going on with Chicago since the Olympic break?
Well, it's really offense, right? Offense is the biggest piece that they've been missing. And, I mean, when you think about it, their offensive weapons are just simply not there. You've mentioned Kennedy Carter, who is out again tonight against the Fever. She's leading the team in scoring. But you know who was the last team leader in scoring? Marina Mabry. You know where she is right now? Sitting on the Connecticut sideline. So with all of that being said, you have to think about how incredibly tough it's going to be for this Chicago team. I mean, when you think about it overall, this team has really overachieved compared to where most people believed that they would be this season. You got a new head coach, you got a new young core group, but it becomes even more difficult when you factor in losing a player like a Marina Mabry to a trade, losing a player like Elizabeth Williams early on in the season, and now not having Kennedy Carter. You're putting a lot of pressure on Angel Reese to be a scorer. We've already seen a lot of pressure on Michaela Onyenwere, who has been the next carrying the team on her back sort of scorer in the absence of Kennedy Carter, which is something she's able to do. Let's not forget Michaela is a former Rookie of the Year, so she's a beast like that. But again, it's just a lot of pressure and a lot of time, and their schedule moving forward is not favorable to the way that they've been playing. They've got some key matchups, specifically against Atlanta, who is sitting in that 9 spot and looking to take that spot. So Chicago's got to figure it out and figure it out offensively pretty quickly. Yeah, their offense has been struggling a little bit. And look, they have exceeded expectations, but right now, the rookies, Camilla, Angel, and everybody else, they want to get into the playoffs. Now, when we look at the other standings, or the top of the standings, I should say, and the rest of this game for today's slate, the Lynx going up against, not the Sky, but they're taking on yeah, they're not going up against the Sky. You got the Dream against the Aces. Lynx are going up against the Wings, not the Sky. Now, they are riding a 7-game winning streak, Tarika. They are unquestionably the best team in the W. They lead the WNBA in assists. Do you believe they are the biggest challenge to the Liberty moving forward? I would actually rephrase that question and say, are the Liberty ready to challenge the Minnesota Lynx? Because let's not forget, the Minnesota Lynx has given the Liberty a run for their money, not once, but twice this season. So they are clearly capable of taking some W's and taking some W's in Brooklyn against from this Liberty team. You know, Minnesota is literally playing the best basketball in the WNBA right now. Napheesa Collier, we talk a lot about the MVP conversation, and we're getting to that point in the season where people are really asking you to put up or shut up, right? Well, she has been doing this all season long. Cheryl Reed really has built a team around her with players like Courtney Williams that have been a true point guard for her, players like Kayla McBride who have really come off and shown her shooting prowess. Offensively, this team has really been able to put it together, but defense is where they have thrived this entire year. It is really difficult to see this team being a team not making it to the final 4 set of teams, the semifinals. Now, let me think. Teams get hot at the right time, and you never know who you're going to come up against in the playoffs that may just, catch you on a bad day, right? That happens across the board in all sports. But it's very difficult for me not to see this Minnesota Lynx team trying to go all the way.